Hi, this is Anita with 5 Minutes with Art. One of my favorite abstract artists is an artist by the name of Clyfford Still. What's really interesting about Clyfford Still is that even though he's considered to be one of the greatest abstract expressionism artists that ever lived, he's also someone that's really not that well known, especially compared to other artists such as Jackson Pollock, Mark Rothko, some of the others. He is just not as well known. His paintings, his paintings are not sold for millions and millions of dollars as some of these others. And part of it is because Clyfford Still was sort of this odd type of character that even though he was a fabulous painter, he wouldn't sell his artwork to anybody. In fact, very few of his paintings really were sold. A lot of them, when he died, were still intact. And his widow, at the time, she negotiated with several cities around the world that who wanted to take his artwork to do a museum. And finally, his museum ended up in the city of Denver. And so there is a Clyfford Still Museum in Denver that has a lot of his artwork if you want to see these great, giant masterpieces of abstract expressionism. He really is a fabulous artist when you see his works of art. But his work is it's not just great abstract expression. It's also work that's deeply rooted in a lot of these internal feelings, such as freedom, isolation, angst. All of these things is brought out in his artwork itself. He had this very keen interest in ontology, the philosophy or study of being. So you can see that really coming out too in a lot of his artwork. He believed the metaphysical of the creator, the creation, and the observer, and searching for answers within this whole ambiguous kind of world in where we live. One of the great things about his artwork that I've always really loved is the way the paint sort of moves on the canvas. You cannot but look at these giant paintings of Clyfford Still and not see this paint, which is sort of moving out of you on the canvas. It's sort of like this visual language of emotion, which is going on the canvas itself. He was a master at being able to do that. And I think one thing which really appeals to me about Clyfford Still was he really was a rebel. He rebelled against the art establishment. It was not just a personal choice, but it was a crusade against what he saw was sort of like this commodification of his art. So that's why he was known to be extremely temperamental. He refused to sell to certain people. He severed ties with nearly all of the New York City's galleries. He believed that, art should transcend commerce, the principle that guided his creation of art, that he disagreed against this commercialization of art. And in fact, he was friends with many of the great artists of the times, and he berated them, was upset with them, felt like they sort of sold out to the establishment. He really was sort of this rebel who believed in art for art's sake. And we can see this because his ultimate act of defiance came at the end of his life, where he made this will dictating that the bulk of his unsold work, which is about 2,000 pieces of work, think about it, at this time, he could have sold those for huge amounts of money, but he refused to, would go to an American city willing to build a museum dedicated solely to his art. And so started the quest of what city or where was this art going to be placed. And it finally was, as I mentioned before, the city of Denver, which opened up a Clyfford Still Museum. Besides this, his rebellion was, he was in New York City. He distanced himself from New York City. He moved to a small rural farm in Maryland, and he, painted out in sort of this barn. And he wanted to be unencumbered by the demands and influences of art dealers and collectors and that, and that type of things. He refused a lot of lucrative offers for his works. He believed in the integrity And, and basically he wanted his art to have this integrity to it and not just be art for art's sake or for commercial gain. I really love this about him. I respect him greatly about this. And that's why I feel like he's one artist that a lot of people don't know about. But when you see his works of art, you go, wow, that man was an artistic genius. We have written a blog post on this. You can see some of his paintings. In fact, I've written several blog posts on Clyfford Stills. But this blog post is was written by James Johnson, one of our art authors, and it's on Clyfford Still's artistic journey. And you can go on there. You can see some pictures of him, some of his artwork, pictures of some of the museum. And if you're in Denver, take the opportunity, take the chance, and go see the Clyfford Stills Museum. You will not be sorry that you took the opportunity to go see this wonderful museum. This is Anita from 5 Minutes with Art. Thank you so much for being part of our community. We truly do appreciate you. Press the subscribe button, press the like button. Contact us if you have any questions. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.